Well, welcome. We're going to now have the lighting of the Christ candle along with the daily word. I welcome the holy birth within me. This Christmas Eve, I think of Mary and Joseph and how their journey of faith led them to the humble birth of Jesus in a stable. With love in their hearts and peaceful stillness all around them, they brought the holy child into the world. As they laid him in the manger, their joy was complete. I carry this story with me as a reminder that when my plans go awry, I can demonstrate the faith to follow an unfamiliar route, the peace to trust the divine within me, and the love to know I am never alone. With joy, I welcome the birth of the Christ, commemorated in the birth of Jesus more than 2,000 years ago. This divine light shines steady and bright, and the Christmas story reminds me that the divine is forever being born. And from Luke, glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors. And now I will light the Christ candle. I welcome the holy birth within me. If everybody could repeat, please. I welcome the holy birth within me. And now our opening prayer this evening is a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson called A Christmas Prayer. Loving Father, help us remember the birth of Jesus, that we may share in the song of the angels, the gladness of the shepherds, and worship of the wise men. Close the door of hate and open the door of love all over the world. Let kindness come with every gift and good desires with every greeting. Deliver us from evil by the blessing which Christ brings, and teach us to be merry with clear hearts. May the Christmas morning make us happy to be thy children, and Christmas evening bring us to our beds with grateful thoughts, forgiven, for Jesus' sake. Amen.
Shining, it is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine. Was born, oh night divine, oh night, oh night divine. Stormy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine.
Thank you. Okay, well, we want to welcome everyone to our Christmas Eve service this evening. I want to welcome our guests that we have here and also you watching online from home. Welcome. We hope you enjoy the service. Okay, we're going to talk about some opportunities available to you folks. Okay, the first one is you can adopt an angel this holiday season and share some cheer. This year, Unity is collecting Angel Tree donations in the form of Kroger, Walmart, and Target gift cards for Crossover Ministries. In Caritas, donations are being accepted in person and by mail to Unity. Donations are being collected in the gathering space of Unity here. We are going to have our annual Burning Bowl service in live stream. That is going to be Thursday, December the 31st, 2020, at 7 p.m. We are going to be celebrating the past, creating the future with Reverend Richard Bunch and Reverend Robin Moore. So we'll hope you'll be able to join us in that very, very special service and ceremony. We are having our White Stone ceremony and live stream. That's going to be Sunday, January the 3rd, 2021. It's going to be at 11 a.m. So we hope you will tune in for that wonderful, wonderful service we have every year. And we are going to be having a town hall meeting via Zoom. It is going to be Sunday, January the 17th. 12:15 p.m. following the 11 a.m. service. And you can RSVP by sending an email to register@unityrichmond.org. And I think I'm up to sing again. And it came to pass on a Christmas evening when all the doors were shuttered tight, outside standing a lonely boy child, cold and shivering in the night. On the street, every window, save but one, was gleaming bright. And to this window walked the boy child, peeking in he saw candlelight. Through other windows he had looked at turkeys, ducks and geese, and cherry pies. But through this window saw a gray-haired lady, table bare and tears in her eyes. Into his coat reached the boy child, knowing well there was little there. He took from his pocket his own Christmas dinner, a bit of cheese and some bread to share. His outstretched hands held the food and they trembled as the door it opened wide. Said he, would you share with me Christmas dinner, said she gently, "Come inside." The gray-haired lady brought forth to the table glasses to last drops of wine. Said she, "Here's a toast to everyone's Christmas, and especially yours and mine." And it came to pass on this Christmas evening, when all the doors were shuttered tight, that in that town the happiest Christmas was shared by candlelight.
Well, thank you very much. Armand Leek is the person who was our prayer, song, and probably dance man, who's helping out in every way this evening. And what charm, okay, and charisma you have. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah. And so this evening, we normally would have children here, and we do, but they're a little older, okay? And if you are at home and you can get the children around, have them come watch this little rendition of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's by Dr. Seuss, and it's for Teddy Owens. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head was just screwed on not right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown as the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then on the noise, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more Grinch thought of this Who Christmas thing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for the 39 years I've put up with now, I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know exactly what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hair, I just look like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since the reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some string and thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who lay a-snoozing in their town. Oh, their windows were dark. White snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming, sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little Who house on the square, this is a stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus growled. And he climbed on the roof, empty bags in his hand. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he struck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stocking all hung in a row. Those stockings, he grinched, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who beating, the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleared out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their old can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small voice that sounded like the coo of a dove. He turned around and he saw a little small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed to get a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking my Christmas tree? Why? But you know the old Grinch was smart and is so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. With my sweet little tot, the fakey Santa Claus lied, there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head. He got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who was in bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was a log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls, he left nothing but books, hooks, and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was not even enough for a small little mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's houses. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Grippet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that Christmas is not coming. They're just waking up. I know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a moment or two. Then all the Who down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, Grimps the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did next hear a sound rising over the snow. It started so low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shocked. Then he shook. And what was a shocking surprise? Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Suddenly, or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he, the Grinch, yes, he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beef. Thank you. I got this book in 1962 and read it to my 5th grade class, and I've loved it ever since, so thank you.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy would someday walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? The child that you delivered would soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would stop a storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? When you kiss your little baby, you kiss the face of God. Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will one day rule the nations? Did you know that your baby boy was heaven's perfect lamb? The sleeping child you're holding is the great I
Since I got this, I'm going to still wear it for a second. I was supposed to wear that while I read, but I just sat here. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. Whoa, hello, Bob. So, let me find my notes here, which are right in here. And this evening, I really want to share with you how we find the Christ within and how we continue to grow that, because that's what the Christmas story is really all about. It's about a man who was born, who understood that he was one with that which created him, he called the Father. He understood also that you and I could be as Jesus. We can become Christ did. That we're all on that journey to grow in faith and understanding. And so the question that comes up is how do we do that? What is the way in which we feel that we become Christed? And as we do, what is it that we believe in? And where is it that we change our lives? The Christmas story is an experience, an internal experience that we have. It is a way in which that we start to understand a different Jesus. I was taught, and I sang many years, what a friend I have in Jesus. And I still love that song. And one of the reasons I still love that song is because I feel like I have more of a friend in Jesus now than I've had before. Jesus, for me, is a wayshower. Jesus is one who has demonstrated for us what divine expression is all about. Demonstrated the Christ within, showing outside and showing up in the world. And his birth is all about the birthing of the Christ within each of us, as we said earlier during the service. So how do I find the Christ within? And sometimes maybe I feel like it's lost. And maybe this Christmas, because of the COVID, because there are a lot of issues, because of some of the fear, because we can't be with family, we can't do things the way we have in the past, many of us, maybe we feel a little lost, a little down. And it's okay. Because missing a friend or a relative is perfectly okay. But what is really great is that the rebirthing of the Christ still takes place, with or without the relative, with or without the roast beast, with or without the who's pudding. And so, how do we take those steps? Well, you see, the idea is that finding the Christ within is an experience. It isn't a journey that we are all on. It is the opportunity to have an experience of transformation, to have an experience of transmutation, to have an experience of transfiguration. Those are steps. Those are part of the process of really demonstrating and becoming an example of the Christ within. And so, let's just look at each of those for a moment. Transformation. I've had several experiences in my life of having an opportunity to be transformed. And what I have learned and what I know is that transformation is an experience that makes me aware of the potential of seeing something differently. Makes me aware of the potential within myself. Makes me aware that I can change where I feel like I need to change. Makes me aware of the power of love, and that I can submit to that power, which we call the Holy Spirit. And so the idea of transformation is that it strengthens our faith, because it is an example of faith that says we believe that transformation can take place. And as we step into that, as we honor that, then change does take place. Sometimes we have the opportunity to have a change in regards to the view of our family. I've talked to people who have done that. I've talked to mothers who are just at their wits' end. They love their children, but they don't know what to do with them. They just can't handle the stress of it at times. And yet, when they started to look at their children in a different way, they saw the stress starting to be reduced, and they saw themselves transformed as a mother or a father because they looked at it from a different viewpoint. It changes also the way that we see our community, the way that we see our church community, our ministry as a movement, the way that we see our larger community, and how we see each individual in the community as having value and worth and deserve to be supported. And you know, we here at Unity of Richmond support people, and we are supported by people like yourselves who are supporting people. And so we get a different idea of how to show up in the community, how we feel about our community. And then we start to actually get a different idea of how we see the world. Transformation, again, is becoming aware internally of maybe the way you were and that you are changing and seeing life differently because you start to understand that you are transformed because you are a child of God, that you are God, as Jesus said, that you are one with Jesus. You are a friend with Jesus. You also are a wayshower with Jesus. But you're becoming aware of that. And then you start to think to yourself, well, what do I need to do? What's the next experience? And I think it is, again, experience Jesus in a new way. I used to believe that Jesus died for my sins. I don't believe that any longer. I instead believe that Jesus came into this world and was birthed, not for my sins, but for the opportunity for me to understand and discover the power within me, and with you to do the same. What a difference. What a different way of thinking. That was a transformation for me. You know, we often at this time of the year sometimes think about the caterpillar. That transformation is like a caterpillar who has roamed around, looked up, and yet goes into a cocoon, self-made cocoon. And then what happens is the caterpillar goes through what we call a transmutation. And we, in our spiritual journeys, also go through this transmutation. Like a butterfly, we're able to break through the cocoon and experience life at a higher level. I think that's what Jesus was teaching us. I think that's what he came to share with us, and he knew it and understood it. Over time, we start to understand that we are energy, and we're the energy of love. And that energy takes on different forms. It can actually take on a negative form if I allow it to within myself. It also, if I let go of that, it doesn't go away, the energy doesn't, but it changes into a different way of being and experiencing one another, experiencing relationships. We begin to know that energy can never be destroyed, that it's always present, and that you and I have the ability to manage that. That's what healing is all about, physically and emotionally and spiritually. It is stepping into the change that we start to recognize. We begin to recognize our power. We begin to discover ourselves as never before. We begin to actually transmute from maybe somebody who was wrapped up in the material and now is wrapped up in the spiritual. Somebody who is not wrapped up in spiritually to be good, but instead someone who is wrapped up in the spiritual so that they can understand who they are and what they are and the changes they can make in people's lives, in their own lives. Not to preach to people, but to be with people, to love people. And that's what Jesus did. He talked to the disciples and assured them that you, as disciples, and myself, and God are all one. I don't think he could have been any plainer about the idea that he was not the only Son of God, that he was a child of God, and we are all children of God. And as we transmute, as we become changed, what happens is there is a transfiguration that takes place. I want to give you an example. I had been in Unity for about 6 months when it really dawned on me what Unity was all about, or at least the beginning of what Unity was all about. And I just took on a different manner of being. I can't even explain it. I didn't even know it. But I had a really good Jewish friend that I was working with at the time. We were consultants. And this fella, one day at lunch, said, "Richard, what in the world has happened to you?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You're different. Do you know you're different?" I said, "How am I different?" I'm getting a little worried now, okay? And he said, "You're happier. You're brighter. You're more positive." And I always thought I was all that anyway. But when he said that, I had to stop and think. And he said, "What's happened to you in the last few months?" So I explained to him that I was going to Unity and that I was seriously thinking about going to Unity ministry. And he said, "Do it. Do it." He saw the difference in me that I couldn't see in myself. Then I could see and feel the difference in myself. And I think that's what happens with all of us. That as we transfigure, that really means that we are experiencing the fullness of divine flow. We're experiencing that power of love. We are looking different because we are acting different. We are feeling different. We are showing up different. And that's what happens when we transform, transmute. We then naturally transfigure. Jesus demonstrated that on the Mount of Transfiguration. What I think Jesus was demonstrating there, what I think the story demonstrates metaphysically, is that, yes, when you go on this journey of understanding the Christ within you, and you follow that Christ, and you listen to Spirit, and you do the work that's necessary to go along with it, you transfigure, literally transfigure your energy flow. And when we do that, we show up differently. And sometimes it takes us a while to catch on to that, but we do. And so as we look at each other differently, we start to act differently, as I said. So there's transformation, there's transmutation, and there's transfiguration. And what I wish for you, not just today or tomorrow, but each and every day, is to have a transformational moment through prayer or meditation, through music, through talking with someone. Then allow that transformational moment to transmute within you, to show up at the cellular level so that you demonstrate who and what you are in a different way. And then you're transfigured. You become the Christ expressing. You're going to act differently. You are going to actually look differently. You're going to feel differently. And that's a trip we can take every day because it's a lifetime journey. And that's what Jesus was teaching us. And so with that comes the idea of truth, that I know who and what I am. And I am inspired to do because I now have a calling. I'm not talking about going into ministry. I'm talking about just being a better employee or a better employer, being a better father or a better mother, being a better grandparent. being a better member of my community, having healthier relationships, and working at those relationships by seeing the Christ and beholding the Christ in others. So back to the Grinch. What happened to the Grinch? You see, at the mountaintop experience, he had a transformation. It was an outside event that brought that transformation on. Of how anybody who had had everything taken away from them at Christmas could still celebrate Christmas, sing together, and be happy together. And then he had transmuted, decided that he would step out and do something different. And then there was the see that as the Grinch cutting the roast beast. So let's have a very Merry Christmas. Let's rise to the occasion of what Jesus calls us to be. Let's celebrate his birth by allowing the Christ to be birthed in each of us. Thank you so much, and God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas. And so now, I believe it is Mr. Leake's time to come forward and to, no, there's a meditation first. I apologize. There's a meditation, then he'll come forward and do his thing. So let's just take a moment to go into this time of silence. And even if you have not been brought up with Jesus as a wayshower, this evening, allow his consciousness to be born in you. A consciousness of unconditional love. A consciousness of wisdom. A consciousness of change. Of change in one's belief systems. Of change in one's life. Of change in one's heart. And as we step into this moment, just envision that the words of great masters, some of whom are living today, guide and direct us for transformation, for becoming aware of what needs to be changed, for transmutation, where you feel that change, you experience that change, you become that change, for transfiguration, where divine mind and divine idea show up in you as divine expression. Feel that warmth, that expression of love. Feel the light right now. Affirm that you are here to light up the world, to light up your world, to light up your heart, to light up your mind. And as you experience that in this very moment, go within yourself and just think, what a friend I have in this man Jesus. What a friend I have in Jesus. I give thanks for Jesus and others teaching me that it's better to forgive. I give thanks for Jesus and others teaching me that I am light itself. I am the energy of light. I am the expression of light. I give thanks for Jesus pointing out to me and his disciples, you and the Father and I are one. We are one energy, one power, one expression to the world of the power of the Christ within. We give thanks for this experience and for the fact that it continues day after day as we evolve and grow into the spiritual being we're meant to be. So I pray this in the name and the power and the consciousness of that man Jesus who shows us the way today. And so it is. Amen. And now, Alma, you can come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I would like to invite everyone to join me as we read the prosperity blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate. I am grateful. Yes, we are.
Giving thanks, growing spirit, transforming lives. Giving thanks, growing spirit, transforming lives. Giving thanks, growing spirit, transforming lives. Giving thanks, growing spirit, transforming lives.
All righty, it's time now to bless the gifts. So would everyone please repeat after me? Each gift returns to the giver, heaped down, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Thank you.
Well, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody who made this evening possible. For each of you who tuned in, and that makes it certainly possible. For our singers and our band, Heather, Oman, Ian, Forrest. I think Ryan is not there, right? Okay, good. I didn't see anybody back there, nor did I hear the drums. But anyway, I thank you for that. For the people in the back, for Tasha and Bernice and Rich, thank you so much for the sound job you do. And, you know, we're transferring cameras over, and so it's a tricky thing, as we're finding out. And but we're getting there, and we've got a much better picture now than we've had before, and it's working. That's the nice thing. And what I'm hoping and affirming is that when you go online at Unity RVA, if you'll go there, or Unity of Richmond, either one, look it up, you will automatically come to the live streaming service. And when it's ready to begin, it'll come up automatically for you. You don't have to go looking. You don't have to go through Facebook or YouTube. You just go there. It makes it simple. It makes it simple for all of us. So we are thankful we're able to do that. And so again, Kristen, where are you? Thank you so much for being here this evening and helping us out in so many different ways. Yeah. And Corey was here earlier working his heart out today to get these cameras going. I think that's the thing he's taken on as a life challenge, okay? And we're thankful for that. So again, I thank each of you who came out this evening. And to close the service, what we're going to do is we are going to share together Silent Night. The lights will go down. The words will be up on the thing. And each of you has a candle somewhere, and I thought I had one, but anyway, that you will light because it has electricity, or it's done by. Okay. And if you're home, please do it very softly, and please be careful, and don't get it near your mask if you have a mask on, okay? Because we don't want to challenge COVID in any way, and so we appreciate that. So just take a moment now and light your candle. And as we sit together, and I wish you could see the candles here, they're beautiful. Just know that this is beautifully a silent night. Stand up if you like.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds pray at the sight, glory stream